so there's an interesting thing about Snow White. I don't know. Have you followed it all? They were going to Disney was going to remake Snow White, and then there was some controversy because they had the actress who was going to play Snow White was interviewed, and she was kind of like, "Oh yeah, no, we're not going to do Snow White the way we used to do it. Like our heroine's not going to wait around to be kissed by a man, and it's not about her finding love. She's going to be a strong woman." Like her, so it was kind of like a repudiation of the. She's like, well, that was 1935, 85 years ago, and it's so it's really in need of updating. And then there's like a conservative backlash to that, where they're like, well, hey, what the hell? Snow White's the legacy of the thing, and
Well, I don't, I
women,
don't,
and
I haven't followed any of that, but I also think that there's a perspective on it, since so much of the attack on the fairy tale to begin with comes from the feminist movement, and so they want to make it about the young man and the young woman's relationship and those roles, but they're not really making it about who poisoned her.
uh-huh,
And they're not really trying to deal with this other relationship that seems to
uh-huh,
still go unaddressed,
uh-huh,
about the
yeah,
older woman who poisoned
huh,
Snow White to begin with,
uh-huh,
where she needed to be woken up first of all. And that's it's a big point, is that how many of our older women are giving life sustaining information to younger women so that they don't fall asleep, so that they are awake?
yeah,
Or are they just dancing them down the trail of whatever their older woman agenda is, and feeding these younger women with bogus information that's putting them to sleep? Because a lot of our younger women who have adopted a feminist attitude are hugely dysfunctional in relationships.
yeah,
Our relationship status is not getting better. So you could basically say, if you want to make it about the man woman relationship, since that's what I get to go by, is that poisoning of the young woman by the older woman has gotten worse, because our younger women are more entitled, our younger women are more demanding, our younger women are lazier than they've ever been. They have less and less expectations on themselves for their own performance than they ever have, and are more demanding on what men should do for them. And many times it's what they can do for themselves. So what they think they deserve through this poisoned apple that they ate is gotten worse. So they can have this other attitude that the struggle is between the man and the woman, really. But
hmm,
I think what you're talking about is the wrong relationship.
okay,
That relationship, that whoever said what you're talking about,
right,
that part of the relationship needs to be addressed between the older woman and the younger woman. And we can get on to the not waiting around, which I'll support. I've never told my daughters to wait around.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like you can find a man on any corner, so why would you wait around? If
yeah,
you like him, you can like the next one too. You don't have to sit there and go, "Oh, he's the only one." That's a very childish mentality, which a damsel in distress would love that mentality,
huh,
because that would be the distress, right? Here's the man, here's the only man ever, and he comes around and you're already codependent. You're already way too emotionally trying to attach to the unavailable guy
yeah.
that's in your imagination only. It's like, yeah, so what she's saying is right, but where'd the information come from?
Yeah, that makes sense. That like even though I've been exposed to that woman's or that little critique of the original Snow White, it's being ridiculed a lot by people. Like by there's a backlash to it, but there's some parts of it that are spot on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're but yeah in this context as a feminist claim, it might be missing the point, or
Well,
missing
and
one of the points. Yeah.
because I know in our last interview, one of the things we did mention was this older woman to younger woman relationship
Yep.
that continually goes untouched. And here's the perfect example of, we're going to talk about the boy girl relationship, Snow White. We're not going to talk about, well, why did the older woman poison the younger woman?
Yeah.
And why isn't there somebody there with the older woman to nurture her along in her old age?
Oof, yeah.
And why is her recourse to damage the life of a younger woman? Because I'm dealing with a fair number of couples where these younger women have that damage. They're passing on feminism that doesn't work for their marriages. And
Yeah.
it doesn't work for how they relate to their husbands. And we can sit there and look at the stat. And these women are not looking at themselves going, how come I can't keep a husband? Like it's the most difficult trick in the world. When, 50 years ago, it wasn't that hard. 70 years ago, it was even easier. And their expectations were even less. And now they're making more demands. And if they don't get their demands met, they're getting divorces.
Yeah.
And it really has to do with the child not maturing to the point of making these demands in a childish way, where if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to leave. That's a very young attitude to have.